Hi my friends, welcome back to another art session. I'm Marcy and this is Prints and Paints. It's good to see you all again. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and I hope you stick around to learn a thing or two. So this week, guys, we've got some exciting things. I'm going to be showing you a whole bunch of different techniques, and hopefully you can be inspired and just enjoy watching the video and painting along with me. This video will be sponsored by Hippie Crafter again, and thank you to them, a big shout out to them. If you haven't checked out their website, please check it out in the links below, or you could follow the link right above here. I offer a 10% off your first order if you use the code HIPPIE10. And please, again, check them out, guys. They are an American-based art supply, small family business, and they're doing wonders. Check them out, guys. So today I'm going to be showing you two products from them. So I'm going to be showing you epoxy resin, and then I'm also going to be showing you some mica powders from them, and we're gonna make something really fun with this project. So I got two products here. So I love the packaging, by the way, they're so cool. Peace out, right? That's awesome. So mica powders, so they get this beautiful array of 24 colors here with these lovely shimmery mica powders. I've been using these for about 3 weeks now, maybe 4 weeks, and I've been making a lot of Christmas ornaments with them. I might even do another video with that. This one I wanted to do something a little different, so we're going to be using a few colors of these and making some rainbow chakra type of mandalas. And then we're going to be also using some casted resin to mix with our mica powders today. Once again, if you can, check out Hippie Crafter, hippiecrafter.com, and check them out, give them a like. Support small business. So what we're going to be doing in this project this week is this beautiful little hanging chakra decorative piece. So it's quite simple. We are only going to be using one type of paint and then casting these rainbowed little tiny pieces. They're resin pieces. And it makes for a really piece. I could see a bunch of these hanging in my window and creating lots of rainbows, and I just love the way it came out. It's very simple but really cute, and just a nice gift too if you want to make it for someone who is all about chakra and rainbows and whatnot. That's what we're going to be making, guys, today. Okay, I'll show it to you at the end of the video on what it looks like hanging up and with the sun hitting it. So let's jump into doing some resin casting and mixing with mica powders first. So a few items you're going to need for the resin is just some cups that you want to mix them in. I like to use these basic paper Dixie cups so that I can just toss them out when I'm finished. I don't like to save the products that I have with resin because it's very hard to clean. If you've ever worked with resin, you can't wash things with soap and water. You have to wash them with a alcohol base substance. It could get really harsh on your hands and it's just a big old mess. So normally I like to just use disposable items. I'm going to be using some cups just to mix my resin. And then I'm also going to be mixing it with just some basic popsicle sticks. So these are just basic wooden popsicle sticks. You can find smaller ones. These are just ones I had laying around. I'm also going to be needing a scale so that I can measure my weight of my resin. I have a little scale here. You can find these in any kind of grocery store, really, I think. Walmart, something like that. This is a scale. It's going to weigh up my ounces. If you prefer to do grams or something else, that's fine too. I just like to use ounces per pound. What else? We're going to also need our epoxy resin. So we have our epoxy resin and we have our hardener, and we're going to mix the two together. When you do buy this, it is going to come with this little instructional pamphlet, and it will tell you exactly how much you need and what the ratios are, and it's also going to give you some additional pro tips and things like that, what it is that you want to achieve and how to clean up, some frequently asked questions about it. It's a really great product. This product I only have to mix for a minimum of 3 minutes, whereas most of my other resins are about 5 minutes. So that does help cut time in half. And it's just really great. I've found that it works really well. And if you guys want to check it out, remember you can use that code and save some money. What I want to do is I'm just going to get out my cups. Now I'm also going to get out some mica powders. And I'm going to show you how to use these. I'm going to get out a red. I'm going to use pure red because I'm going to make rainbows, right? I'm going to use yellow orange. I can use this one, which is more of a red orange, but I think we'll do this one. I'm also going to get out a yellow. So you have two different shades. You have a light yellow and you have a yellow ochre. I like the yellow ochre. It's a little bit more gold speckles in it. The green, I'm going to be using grass green. I think we also have teal and sea green. So there's a couple variations of that. And then we're going to need a light blue. So we have robin eggs blue. We have, this is just basic light blue, so we'll use light blue. Then I also want a darker blue, so I like to use phthalo blue. So this is more of a sapphire kind of color. And then I want to use a purple. So I have pastel purple or lilac. I'm going to use lilac. So these are my colors that I'm going to be using to make my little beautiful hanging pieces. So we'll set this aside. And then how we do this is this way. If you don't have these, you can try to use something else. These are pretty affordable and I've had them for at least 4 or 5 years now. So these are just some small casting silicone types of molds that I have. They have the holes in them here for you. And all we really need to do is what we're going to do is take our resin or our mica powders. If you have respiratory issues, please make sure as a disclaimer that you use a mask because these can get into your lungs and they will stay there forever, guys. So please be careful. Maybe work in a place where it's like well ventilated, even with the resin itself too. So I just like to take a paintbrush and then I'm going to basically brush on my mica powder all around the inside of my silicone base. This will help keep a nice shimmer on the top of our resin because sometimes the mica powders will sink to the bottom of these little molds themselves. So we want the mold to be shiny on the one side and be able to see that sparkle. I know it's hard to see in the video and they look more matte, but they definitely do have a sheen to them. So it's a really nice piece. So that's all I'm going to need for that. I just brushed it all in. I didn't really need much at all. I'll do orange as well. So again, we're going to just brush in some orange. I have a couple brushes here because I don't really want to mix the mica powder colors together. The red and the orange is okay, but once I start doing yellow, I want to make sure that I'm switching out my brush. And you don't want a wet brush because it will change the texture and the way that these mica powders go on. They won't be a smooth surface. It'll be clunky, like chunky, I should say. So remember, keep that in mind. You want a very dry surface, guys. Nothing wet. So dry brushes, no wet brushes. Okay, so let's get this cap on. And then we'll get our yellow, and we'll just do those 3 colors for now, just so you can see what it's gonna look like. I'm just gonna brush this off with a dry tissue, just to get that orange out of there. All right, now I'm gonna go in with my yellow. And like I said, you don't really need much. It doesn't take a long time it doesn't take much product to make these. And I like them. They're just very unique and different, and I like to make things like that. I don't want to make the same old stuff, so. I think these would look really beautiful if they were outside or hanging in a garden or anywhere really. Windows with the sun coming through. So there's our 3 colors. So as you could see up close, that's all we did was just brush it on. Now, what we can do is get our resin. Now the resin, I can technically add some of the mica powder to the resin as well, but I felt you could still get this nice color by just putting it in here, and then that's it. And then you just pour clear over that. So that's what we're gonna do for this project. Sometimes you can add dyes, but now you're talking about making at least 7 different colors of resin, where I could just do 1 resin and mix them all in, and it still is going to be colored. So I'm saving myself from wasting product, I guess I should say. So I'm going to get out my scale. I'm going to turn it on. And I'm already at my ounces here, so I'm going to put my cup on, and I'm going to tear out the cup because I don't want that. And then I'm just going to take my epoxy resin, and I like to do, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm going to probably do, I'm going to do probably about a 1/2 ounce. So that's going to be 0.5. That's already there. Yeah, I'd say, so I have 0.52, okay? That's about a 1/2 ounce. Make sure you wipe this. I don't need much for these because they're very small. Now, if I did them all, I probably want to do about 1 ounce to 1 ounce. So 2 ounces total would probably be sufficient enough. So I'm going to do about a 1/2 ounce, only because I'm doing the 3 of these just to show you guys. Let's put my cap back on. So I always put my epoxy in first, and then I'll put my hardener in, okay? So with this, we're going to add the hardener, and we're going to want to do 0.52 again. So we can either tear this out, and it goes back to 0, and now we can go 5.2 again. This one is a lot more smooth and will come out a lot quicker. So we got 0.45, but that's okay. As long as you're ballparking and in the same facility. You really want to try to get it to the T, but it's okay. So there we go. So there's my hardener. Now I'm going to mix these 2 for 3 minutes. So I'm going to get out my timer. And then we're going to mix these for a total of 3 minutes. Okay, so I got my timer starting, and then we're just gonna mix. When you mix these, you just want to go very slowly. You don't want to rush this at all and get lots of air bubbles in there. When I do this, I do it as if like I'm mixing cake batter. So when you do cake batter, you're folding it, right? You're folding that stuff. You want to scrape the bottom. Make sure you're getting it really nicely incorporated, nicely mixed. Okay, so there we go. We've been 3 minutes now, so we've mixed our resin. Now there are some air bubbles in here, and that's quite all right. We're going to actually get rid of them with using a butane torch. So what I want to do now is I'm going to make sure I have a flat surface here, and I want to pour these in very slowly. So I'm just going to take some with my stick in my hand and start in the center, and then I'm just going to pour these out until I get to about halfway full. Eyeball it because it is going to stretch out, so then I want to push some of this over those holes there and make sure it gets all nicely incorporated and it's not overflowing. Move to the next one. So even half an ounce was a bit much, if you can tell. Like, I have quite a bit left, so I'll probably do the other ones as well. I'm thinking maybe 3/4 of an ounce or so is probably sufficient for all of them, all 7 of them. And there we go. This is all nicely filled in. I'm just going to set this aside for now. And then I'm gonna wipe up that little piece I have right there, just because I don't want it to dry. So there we go. I don't need this cup. All right, and now what I like to use is a little butane torch. This is easy, very simple. You just click it and it goes. I just don't want to make sure it's up too high, though. There we go. And you just want to quickly go over it once. Make sure you're not breathing in those fumes. And that's about it. So there we go. So now these will need to cure for about 12 hours total in order to be workable. Otherwise they'll still be soft, unless you want to mold them and shape them in a different way than being flat like this. But then I feel like it might be a little hard to paint them, but you can get creative. You can make little dishes and things like that. You just want to work it maybe within 6 hours or 8 hours or so from this, when you can actually start to bend them a little bit. Otherwise, just leave them flat for about 12 hours. Fully cured is about 24 hours, I'd say, but anything after that, you should be safe. So just try to keep them somewhere covered where no hair is going to get on them and things like that, no dust. I like to cover it up with a plastic bin or something that's breathable. And then that's it. So these were the mica powders. They're really great. They have fantastic colorant to them. I absolutely love them. And that completes our epoxy resin as well. Now I want to show you what they'll look like when they are fully cured. Okay, so I have a few here. So these are what they'll look like when they're done. So they are see-through, you could tell, and that's because I used the clear. Now if I was to use a dye, it would be like more of an opaque color, a solid color. But these are really nice and I love them. They have that sparkle shimmer in them. This is just the color from the mica powder itself. And that's what made them more transparent, which I want, because I want the sun to be shining through them. So these are all of my colors, okay, which I have. Now one side is going to be a little bit sharp on the edge, and then the other side's going to be more matte and smooth. It really doesn't matter because you're going to be hanging them and painting both sides of them. But there will be a little bit of a difference. So one side's a bit shiny and one side's a bit matte, if you notice. That's the matte side. There's the shiny side. And that's just the way that they were laying in the molds themselves. So here's all of my 7 chakra colors. Now I already painted some and I want to show you, but I'm going to show you how to paint these first, and then I'll show you how to do the tying and how to beat them all up and everything. So these are ones that I had already done. The paint I did use for this project was Tulip's brand. It was the metallic gold. This is the dimensional fabric paint, and this works really great. It is a acrylic based paint, and you can use this. It is permanent, and it's not going to wash away. You can always put a gloss varnish over the top of these to seal them in, but so far I've been okay. They are definitely raised. They have a lot of dimension to them, which I like, and they're really fun. I'm using this today, guys. You can use deco art or something. I do recommend you thickening up your deco art paints with some gel medium though, and a little bit of water just to make sure that you have the right consistency. You can always watch the videos I have on how to make acrylic paints, and it'll show you how to make the right ratios. I'm also going to be using my micro dotter. So this is the Happy Dotting Company puller that I have. I like to use something with a very fine tip. You can always opt to use like the size 1 dotting tool, which is the white one that we use, or even a bamboo skewer, something with a point. It's perfectly fine. Pins, anything that has a nice sharp edge to it. I also am going to be using this small stencil. I have these available for download if you want through my Etsy. You can always download that, or if you had bought any kits in the past, I usually have them in there, and this is going to help just make some quick guidelines. Last week's I introduced this with the snowflake pieces that we were doing, and then I'm just going to need a marker to mark the thing, so I'm just going to use a little micron pen, a little thin marker. So again, these are the ones that I had made, so you can see what they'll look like. Okay, so they look really great. I like to paint them before I put them together, okay? So this is what they'll be. I'll put these aside real quick, and we'll do a quick painting demonstration for you, and so you can see how to do this. I'm going to do the dark blue just so you can see it more. And so what I want to do is get out my marker, and again, this will just remove with a non-acetone, like something like this, the nail polish remover. Okay, I like to use non-acetone though on resin. This works great for just removing the marker. And I'm just going to line these up so that this third line here, this third row, is lined up with the perimeter of my round circle that I made, my resin circle. And all I want to do is mark the center with a little dot, and then I'm going to skip the first row and go to the next one, and I'm going to dot right there. So I'm going to do the top, I'm going to do the bottom, I'm going to do the right and the left carefully. This is very like slippery. Okay, and then I'm also going to do in between there. So I want to have 8 points. There we go. So I know it's a little hard to see, but there's my points. So I have the center, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay guys, this is very basic, very simple, and all we want to do is get out our dimensional paint. I am gonna squirt some of this into a paper towel first, just to make sure there's no air bubbles. And then I just want to do one center dot, nice plump dot, and then this is a very easy design. It doesn't take much at all. So then I'm gonna dot one at the top where my dot is here, and then I'm gonna do one on the other side. If you don't have a stencil, you can always just do this freehand too. I'm gonna dot one to the right and one to the left. I'm trying to just make sure that my consistency of my dots are all about the same size though. That's what I want to focus on. Now the next one I want to do a little bit smaller than the ones I just did. So if you notice, it's not as much, and that's just the control of how much paint you squeeze out. Once it comes out, it is going to be a little peaked, so I want to take my puller and I just want to swirl it around a little bit just to get that peak down, push down a bit. So all I do is take it and I wrap the top part around the dot. And then I'm going to make an even smaller dot at the end, so they're cascading down in size. Okay. Just like that. Perfect. So that's good. This one's a little crooked, but that's okay. I would probably go back and fix it if I had to. That's why I like to use the guidelines, just to make sure I'm straight on and not crooked. In fact, I am going to fix that, guys, just to show you, because I don't like the way it goes off to the left. So I'm going to fix this one. Well, and it's really easy just to clean up. If you've noticed, all you're doing is just wiping it up and then going back in. That's why I like to use resin sometimes, because it's easy cleanup. Not much at all. Alright, let's go back and do this again. Try to make sure we're straight on. There we go, that's a little better. So again, I'm just gonna bring down those dots just a little bit. Just like that. And then the center, we just want to do some swooshes. Right next to the end one, I want to do a little bit bigger of a dot, something similar to the first one I did here on either side. I just want to make sure that they're even across. And then what I want to do is take my puller and I'm going to go up and around and in. So I'm going to go like this, pull it that way. And then this one's going to pull in this way. It doesn't take much either as far as pulling it, because the surface is so smooth. Probably once or twice over, and that's about it. That's all you're going to need to do. Okay, so I got this one. I like to do all the dots first, and then I can go back through it and pull them. So again, I'm pulling that one in, so I pull them both in this way. And just be careful you don't put your fingers. We're working on a much smaller scale now, so it might be a little tricky. And then I'm going to do this one and this one. And then I just do one in the center. That's it. So I do one here. It's a very simple, hopefully it'll just give you some inspiration for design, and you can try your hand at doing something that you like to do. This one was just a nice quick beginner type of project. It's something that if you feel you want to try to work with resin for the first time, it's a great project. It doesn't take much time and it's not too complicated. So there we go. So see, I have a nice, okay, it looks really great. I love the way it came out. Now once this is dry, I can flip it over and I'm going to basically just see where my other dot is and put a dot right on the top of that. So I can use the other side as my template to make the other side there. And then I can show you now how to piece it together. So I have the ones that I already did. They're already painted on both sides. Be careful where you're storing these when they are drying, because they can technically stick. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure they're not stuck really hard on a surface, because it will peel probably right off. So I have my holes all ready to go. They should be good to go here. I have all of them. And I want to get out some kind of string. I like to use this kind of cord. It is like a waxed cord, so I can just basically seal it off with a lighter once I'm finished. and I just want to cut it and then make a nice. I am using these kinds of beads for the center. So I found these in Walmart in the jewelry section. I can leave a link in the description if we can find it online and buy them if you want to get these in particular. They weren't much at all. I don't know what the price is. They weren't much at all though. And you get 3 strands of them. I basically just have them in this little cup here so that I can dress it, okay? So what I like to do is just cut a piece of cord about 6 inches in length. And then I'm going to take 2 of the gold ones. I'm going to slip one on one of the ends. And then I'm going to use this darker red color here on the beads. And then do another gold. So that's just going to be the top part of my red. So we just have that. And then we're going to tie them off together. And then any excess we have, we can just trim, and then we can seal it with some heat, some flame. And that's how we do that tie off. I'll just leave it for now, but I will trim that off and then seal it off, and then that's it. So there's the top. Now the next part, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to cut about 6 inches or so, 4 inches. And then what I like to do is I just do this. I tie one end, so I'm just going to loop it through, and then I'm just going to tie one single knot, because it's a pretty small hole. I think it's only about 1/16 of an inch hole, so it's not large for this to go through. So I'm just going to make one knot and then pull it through there till it stops. I'm going to trim that off. And then with my lighter, I just seal off. And then I push it together. Just like that. Oop. There we go. Now, what we can do is we get a gold, and I do 4 red and 4 gold. So I start with gold first, and then I slip on the red, and then gold, and we just keep repeating that process until we get all of these done. This is really quite simple. Doesn't take much to make these, and I like these because they're fun to sell at craft fairs or give away as gifts, or just for yourself, just to hang them. So I usually just end like that. I can do one more gold if I felt like I wanted to do that. I just want to make sure that they're all the same if I'm going to bead them. So I'm just going to leave it just like that. And then I'm going to go in with my orange now. Feed it through until I get to the edge here. And then I'm going to try to tie a knot as close as I can to this orange guy here. So just loop it in and then pull it close enough to there. Trim off that excess like that. And then seal it off. And there we go. And we keep going down the line, like, okay, with our beads. We'll do the next one is yellow, so I'll do orange in between here, which is right here. I have orange. And then I'll do the yellow. And then I'll do green, blue, and then I do purple. What I usually did with the end of it was I ended it with the purple. You can either do the dark red color, or I just did 2 gold ones, and I did these like little silver, clear, like glass beads I found also. They don't come with this, but you can find them if you want. And so I ended it with that, but looks really fantastic, guys. Really beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you were introduced to some new fun crafting supplies too, and that it inspires you to do something completely different than just the basic mandalas. We can do so many different things with these mandalas and dotting techniques. Just open your minds and get creative. Thanks so much for joining me, guys. I really appreciate you watching my videos and, giving me all the support I need. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, guys. Happy dotting, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.